We all deserve access to reliable, clean and affordable energy for our homes, for our families and for our businesses. And that's exactly what the National Energy System Operator has been set up to deliver.
At the heart of NESO's mission is ensuring that we are delivering for people, for communities, for the economy and for society. And it's about ensuring that whole ecosystem comes together to deliver for the country.
Go for it.
Well, the energy future needs to be one which is secure, clean and affordable for customers. And furthermore, it needs to be one that's exciting for customers because we need the public to support the transition to net zero, which is going to create such a rich energy future for us.
We're undertaking the biggest change in energy for about 100 years. It's going to touch every home in the UK, every school, every community, every workspace. It means in the energy sector completely rewiring how we do the system. It means building new infrastructure. Everything about what's in the system will have to work differently.
It's really important that Britain has the energy it needs to thrive, and I think one of the best ways to do that is being smarter in our energy use.
We've got a huge opportunity to be really pretty much independent of all the volatility that we've seen in the geopolitical space recently. And we have more control over both our price and our security. So it is a very exciting moment and we need to accelerate towards it.
It's really important that we are matching supply and demand in real time. And that's becoming increasingly more challenging as we think about the injection of clean, green, renewable energy into the system.
To ensure that Britain can thrive and that its economy can go from strength to strength, we need to make sure that we transform our energy system to deliver that clean power and ensuring that we build out the necessary infrastructure in a way that enables that economic growth, not just on the energy infrastructure itself, but on the whole supply chain, such that we're building skills and capabilities, we're delivering really good jobs into local communities as well.
When I think about what energy means right now, it's redesigning an entire industry to power a completely different economy. And the really exciting thing about the next 10 years of energy is it's when those changes will start to be felt by ordinary people, but also by the sector that we serve.
I'd like to see a greener, smarter and fairer energy system. It's so great to have the National Energy System Operator here to piece everything together for the benefit of getting Britain to net zero.
Your energy strategy is your economic strategy. 90% of the investment we put into offshore wind has been delivered outside the southeast of England and London. People talk about the UK as being a services economy. Yes, that's true. We'll have green bankers and lawyers in the energy sector as well, but it is also a chance for new jobs for working people.
For local communities, there are great benefits to the transition. Energy bills are going to be reduced, but more than that, it means the local environment will be cleaner with less air pollution. It'll mean jobs and the opportunity for people to see the benefits of a decarbonised energy system in their locality.
My name is Tom Hill. I'm the Programme Manager at Marine Energy Wales.
My name's Jamie Dempster. I'm the Senior Operations and Maintenance Manager on the Moray West offshore wind farm.
The rain's coming.
It's so cheesy that the politicians use that.
Oh yeah,
don't do that. Don't do that.
Looking to the future, we'll see green jobs throughout renewables, and it will be a really big employer. Wales is already leading the way through many projects such as Morlais in North Wales, where you've already seen marine renewable energy projects being anchored in North Wales, providing good jobs and good skills.
Renewables presents a huge opportunity for Scotland to increase employment, and particularly in rural areas.
We're developing one of the world's biggest offshore wind farms. The impact of what we're doing here is massive. You know, locally it's had a far-reaching impact on the community because we're employing locally, we're contracting companies locally, and we're even sponsoring local football teams, which has really brought the community together in terms of what we're trying to do and what we're trying to achieve in offshore wind.
I have been looking after the construction of the new marine base here in Buckie. It's exciting. I'm local to the area, so seeing this whole project being here is really great, and just being part of something as a local girl is really cool. Projects like this are rejuvenating the community and bringing new life to some older industries around.
Our 882 megawatt wind farm will contribute 40% of Scotland's power needs, which is massive. The facts are real. We need to transition. You know, the world is facing a climate crisis, and we're just part of that journey. And everything that we do is small by comparison, but it does have an impact. And that's why we need to work hard to make that happen. And that's what's been a real privilege to be part of that personally, but also you see it with all of our team. Everyone here is totally committed to net zero.
We've got an amazing offshore wind resource around the coasts of Great Britain, particularly around the coast of Scotland. The recent ScotWind tender rounds run by the Crown Estate Scotland awarded 23 gigawatts of potential sites to connect. I'd love to see multiple of the ScotWind offshore wind farms developed, including the Ocean Winds Caledonia site, with their own operation and maintenance bases in many rural parts of Scotland, providing employment for the next generation. Our Moray East and Moray West offshore wind farms used approximately 50 suppliers in Scotland. We forecast that both projects could add about £1 billion to the economy during their operational lifetime.
Green Energy Wales is all about establishing Wales as a world leader in sustainable marine renewable energy deployment. In Milford Haven, there used to be a big oil and gas industry, and most people you know would work for the oil and gas industry. And now as we transition those away from oil and gas, renewables will fill that space. I grew up in Pembrokeshire, and my dad used to work in the oil refinery. And I'm really proud to be working in the energy sector like my dad was, but towards net zero and the fight against climate change.
We haven't got to start again, have we?
Affordability of energy for British people and businesses is really important, and I think a significant part of that is going to be trying to get the investment right into different assets across the energy system, from the tip of the turbine blade offshore or the hydrogen production plant and everything in between.
In order to thrive in Great Britain, we need to ensure that we have all the resources in order to deliver what we need to deliver. Power is key to this as we grow our digital economy.
Britain's energy future needs to be secure and reliable and have diversity and flexibility in it so that it's able to cope with the demands of customers for heat, light and power whenever or wherever they need it, whether the wind's blowing or the sun's shining. And as part of that, it's a system that's going to need pipes and wires to transport molecules and electrons. And the role of the gas system in that is to engineer a sustainable gas future to deliver hydrogen and biomethane as part of that mix.
So for a clean energy future, we need multiple ways to get there. And hydrogen is one part of the solution. So you need it to decarbonise heavy industry. You also need it to balance the power grid. So this is really important. In a world where there'll be an increased amount of renewables, how do you store those renewables?
The energy system is transforming. New technologies are coming on that deliver power in different ways. The UK is one of the leaders in delivery of offshore wind. What we at NESO need to do is make sure that we integrate those into our existing energy and our electricity system in a way that drives down prices for businesses, for people, for households, because energy is the lifeblood of the economy.
The whisky industry itself is actually quite an energy intensive industry. We look at the grain growing in the fields all the way through the whisky making process, where there's quite a lot of energy being used to actually generate the whisky, through to transport and distribution, and eventually into our customer's hand.
People have got commercial interests to take care of, they've got businesses. But at the end of the day, if we keep trying to press looking after one single technology, one single solution, one single energy source, then we're going to be wasting our time and not getting to net zero quickly enough.
When we look at costs of renewable energies, if we can't make them favourable in terms of commercials, then we're not going to consider them. We need to see what's available in terms of access to help in a collective way as an industry to be able to move forward.
Now, what's going to be important is that industry and government and other stakeholders collaborate really closely as we move down these paths, because the answer today won't necessarily be the answer tomorrow.
Innovation is something which needs to happen at all levels across an industry. So whether it is renewable technology, or whether it is innovation in infrastructure or digital technologies or adoption of AI, they're all different types of innovation which together will drive a different future from an energy perspective.
AI is responsible globally for approximately 3 to 4% of power consumption. It is forecast, before we reach the net zero target of 2030, to be responsible for 50% of power consumption. It's not a migration of power consumption from one area to another. This is an additional demand that's going to be put on the network. The overall challenge is that we need to build 5 times as much transmission infrastructure over the next 6 years than we have done over the last 30 years.
The demand of the grid is forecast to increase with the uptake in electric vehicles, heat pumps, and what have you. And enabling flexibility will be an important agenda here. Smart metering really puts the consumer in the driving seat of their energy usage, helping them modify their behavior. And the network will facilitate demand flexibility schemes.
What we need is a single collaborative plan across the industry, and to stop thinking in siloed ways across different industry groups or different types of factors.
If we want to deliver net zero and get more clean power connected to the grid, there needs to be someone coordinating that and working out what projects we need where and when.
So I think in the past, Great Britain could be accused of having a fragmented approach. If we're to have a single overarching body that took a holistic approach and a holistic view of all of the challenges that are faced and are able to look at them all simultaneously, it will only help us be more efficient in delivering the growth that the network needs.
So one of the great things about NESO is that it really is a key player at the heart of the energy industry, and this is such a hugely exciting time where we're at this inflection point in tackling climate change. So having the opportunity to be in those discussions, to be part of developing that plan that will enable our energy system and indeed our economy to transition to net zero, to enable us to tackle climate change, is something I'm personally hugely passionate about.
Really regretting keeping the cardigan on now. It's like the hottest corridor.
We'll see about that. Fundamental to NESO is the ability to bring an impartial, independent voice into the mix that can really take a whole systems view on the transition, the challenges, the trade-offs that need to be made, and ultimately how do we get an optimal outcome for consumers.
When I was hydrogen champion, I advocated very strongly that a future systems operator should be looking at the future whole energy system, and that couldn't be just electricity in isolation or just gas in isolation, because of the future interrelatedness of our whole energy system. So having NESO is extremely important to enable a well-planned, efficient, well-structured and timely energy system.
So looking at the whole system together will create the opportunity for us to have an efficient transition and a speedy transition. That's why NESO is so important, because it's going to have new responsibilities to look right across the energy sector and come up with an integrated plan that includes a spatial element of which key bits go where. NESO will need to work very closely with government and with Ofgem, but will also be a marshalling point for the industry to come together around these strategic plans in order to drive a rapid transition.
NESO has got an extraordinary remit, which actually it sings to everything that I'm excited about, and that is proper whole systems design. The energy sector lives in its technology silos, and NESO's role is really to break those silos down and to ensure that we've got an integrated system design that is actually utilising each of these technologies and assets.
The industry has shifted significantly as we balance the grid, as we look at our future. It becomes a lot more about optimizing it for the right consumer value and for providing clean and green energy. That requires a level of sophistication in our algorithms, in how we do modeling, and technology, specifically AI, allows us to drive that through in a much more different way than we might have done traditionally. At the heart of driving NESO's strategic priorities is an ambition to be AI-driven, to be digital first, to accelerate how we use data across the industry and fundamentally drive innovation across the industry.
As we move towards a greener and more flexible grid, it's important to keep our conversations with the consumers ongoing. So we have services such as the Demand Flexibility Service, which help us keep on top of this engagement, and we'll continue to work on that in the future.
I was looking for a job where I feel like my work would actually serve a purpose. So for me, it's really important to play my role in the energy transition. Net zero is something that's really integral to all of us now, but future generations as well.
Climate change is obviously affecting us all, so it was important for me to work in a company that's actually making an impact.
I'm really aware that of all the actions we perform in this building affects everyone in England, Wales and Scotland.
We need lots of different people, different voices, and certainly different bits of the energy sector to work together in a way that they haven't done. We're responsible for around 1 in every 48 jobs in the energy sector. But more importantly, energy underpins the rest of society.
At the same time, we're going to be laying the foundations for what happens before 2030, but also afterwards. And that's all about continuing the rollout of electric cars and electric car charging stations, the replacement of gas-fired heating systems with clean heating systems, and crucially, it also includes starting and completing after 2030 the decarbonisation of industry.
Britain has been at the forefront of decarbonising its electricity system, and one of the things that I'm passionate about, that we're passionate about, is making sure that we share those learnings and that experience is transferred to other countries, other system operators who are earlier in their decarbonisation journey, such that we can accelerate the decarbonisation of energy systems, not just in Britain, but actually around the world, because that's how you make an impact.
NESO is at the heart of Britain's journey to net zero. We must unify and optimise Britain's whole energy approach to forge the path to a sustainable future for everyone. Together, we are energising progress. Your energy, your future, our purpose.